Alright y'all, we're back on Spooky J's Homebrew How-To, and it's on now. In our story, we were hanging out at the venue after the set. One of our friends had to visit the little girl's room, but one of the rowdy guys from the pit decided to head that way after her. He got the wrong one, and she grabbed a crowbar that was laying nearby. So, we have a player, we have a foe. They're now mutually engaged. It's on. In this scenario, as a game master, I would put the player first, the zombie next after that. I like to put collectively the monsters on one turn, so we're not just sitting here rolling each time for each monster on its own turn. But that being said, your table, your rules. Play your initiative the way that you'd like to. I personally recommend grouping your monsters. That being said, after that, I would have the remaining 3 players, whether that was myself as a DMPC and 2 others, or if that was 3 other players, have them roll for turns, and there we go. We have our initiative order, we have our conflict, and the sandbox is laid out. Turn your players loose, see what they come up with. It is usually pretty astounding, and the more people that are engaged and present and contributing creatively, the more it adds to that induplicable quality of tabletop gaming. So, by all means, have fun with it. Just for any nervous, early or first-time game masters, go ahead and show you my notes page here, the way that I would lay things out for this kind of an encounter. And if you have an extra question and a good eye, we'll stick around because we'll talk about it in a second. But the way I would typically lay something out like this, we have our first player. I've named her Prybar. We have our zombies. As I described, we have that inciting action, so they're at the top of the turn order. Our remaining zombies here, and our additional players over here. In order to keep things really simple, I like to use really standardized hit points and damage values. That way we're not having to calculate individual health capacities and then turn around and calculate individual damage amounts per hit and ranges of, is that a D6, is that a D8? No, I think that's 2D4. We're keeping it very simple in order to get as many people around the table as possible without losing folks. So, I like to usually play it on a couple very simple rules. Either I play it by way of stoplight, you're green, you're yellow, you're red, you're off, or put a finger down. There you go. You have an easy 3 or 5 hit point counter that just about anybody can follow around the table, but is also very simple for you as the DM to track. So, after a few rounds, you've gone around and your players have taken their turns going and doing. For instance, a typical turn might look like the player with the crowbar is staying in place, but is going to swing the crowbar at the zombie that's pursuing her, and she rolled a 10 here, so she missed. That's a fairly typical turn. Let's say that, rewind, she rolled a 15 instead of that 10. That hits. The zombie takes a damage. And so, I would mark that on my notes here as the DM, as we're going through, and it goes around the table, around and around with 2 pieces turns. It actually rotates very quickly and moves at a pretty fun clip. It at times almost gets chaotic of, oh, it's my turn again. But that being said, one of the main ideas is that We all want to share the spotlight. We all want to add the cool things. We all want to have that slow motion cinematic moment for each of us to contribute, and that our story is written of those moments, all woven together by our collected creativity. So, down the line, as you've played various turns and gone through, keep track of the damage. Let's say, for instance, Prybar over here took 1 damage, and 2 of the zombies have taken damage. Bottle over here has gotten away unscathed so far. I acquired damage from 1 of the pit zombies, and Cable over here has gotten away unscathed so far. And you just keep track as it goes along. You're just kind of keeping count. You're not necessarily inherently playing against your players, though that is the mindset of many game masters. It doesn't have to be yours. Me personally, I love to play with my players. I love the idea that this is something that we are all punching the buttons together. So, that being said, if you've been following along so far, you're in the game. Now it's just a matter of seeing how it all rolls out. The beauty of it is that the dice keep it interesting. Even if you laid out the exact same pieces with the exact same players, you could never play the exact same game twice. And that's pretty cool in my book. So, like I said, if you're following along, you're playing by now. I hope you're having a great time. And like I said a minute ago, if you were looking at my notes and wondering, what is that? Yeah, I did have a 3rd column in my notes, and yeah, don't run off because I'm not done with you. I got 1 more for you, so stick around, dice rollers. I'll see you in the next one.